Well, I think any interaction is going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's good evidence to say that any sort of interaction, if people are getting one-to-one interaction on and around it, I don't think you're going to get, if what you're trying is to get people, you might help them with remembering with building strategies for finding. I think I'm not sure how well it works as the disease develops, and actually you know, and actually saying you're going to be if you put your keys here, you're going to be able to find them. It might work for a while. So I think, but to provide stimulation through using the memory they have, and that may be medium long-term memory, so there may be ways, and it does work. It works both in people's homes, I think, and in groups as well. The important thing is that the person providing the service really understands the needs of people with dementia. I mean, training is key, because that's one of the big problems in a lot of settings, whether it's daycare, whether it's care homes, whether it's people going into hospital or going for outpatient appointments, or care workers going into the home. It is often that they don't have enough understanding of what's happening to the person with dementia. You know, they're not trained, so they don't understand how to work in a positive way. And what can often happen if somebody is, if you can imagine, if you have dementia, you're starting to have difficulty communicating, maybe understanding what somebody's saying to you if it's in a too complex form, and that person isn't really listening to you. And that would include not just listening to what you're saying verbally, but actually being aware of your body language and non-verbal communication. Then often the only way you've got of showing your unhappiness is perhaps to get angry, because you have less control over your feelings, whereas usually most of us can control our feelings if somebody's rude to us or upsets us, but for somebody with dementia it's more difficult, and their only way of reacting may be to shout at the person or get angry at the person, maybe even to hit the person, depending on their level. So it's really important that people if they're going into the home or whether they're seeing people outside the home, that they understand and they change the way they work with the person, because it's more difficult for the person with dementia to actually change themselves. So but I think positive interactions are going to be helpful, because I think positive interactions of any kind are going to be helpful. And certainly working with the memory they have.
So do you think it's a good idea to include all senses somehow?
It's good, yes, it is. I mean, some people, I think now reminiscence work is something that's been done a lot with people with dementia in various ways, not always very well, but I've done a lot in the past, and I think what sets people's memory going is different things for different people. It may be the smell. It may be a smell. Maybe the smell of cut grass is one thing. Where I remember one man used to remind him of his cricket he played in his youth. Or so smells, sounds, music are often a trigger to help tap into people. So yes, I think to go for all senses. I don't know whether you've seen any information about some research that's going on into what is called cognitive stimulation therapy.
No.
Which I'll have a look when we go back to the office if I've got a copy of the paper. The research isn't completed, and our day centre took part in the Marilite, where you were going to go, took part in some of that research, and that's again a way of tapping in, of paying, of using what people have, and they often have more than you think they'll have. So I think it's really building, I think you mentioned, it's building up so you know enough about that individual, both from them and from their family perhaps, and maybe from other people who are involved. So you know quite a bit about the person, because it means you know where to go to start.
Okay. So what do you think are the main problems with memory loss?
I mean, the thing is, memory loss is only part of what happens to people with dementia. And obviously in the early stages, memory loss causes a lot of frustration for the person and for family, because often people can't understand what's going on. And it's quite hurtful for families if somebody can't actually remember your name, and that happens depending on the kind of dementia, of course. Memory loss can be less important in certain types of dementia in the early stages, but where it's one of the things people tend to notice first, and it just, if you think about it, you know, our memory is what we are in a lot of ways. We hold, whether they're short-term or longer-term memories, you know, there's a sort of structure for our day, you know, whether we all forget things sometimes, but you know, if you regularly, you can't remember that you had an appointment with a doctor, or you can't find where you put your keys, or you can't remember the structure of things you were doing,